This channel is supported by Truefire. Truefire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses.
Here's an amp from Bad Cat, marketing amp for John Cordy. So I think it's a Cub V, made on the 20th of November 2024. Basically, the story with this is the guy that bought the company, John, was a big fan of Bad Cat. The story goes that he went to buy an amp and ended up buying a company. We've all been there. Cub was essentially like his amp that he'd gigged for years of Bad Cat. And so the idea with this amp, because there's been a little bit of a sort of impression that because Bad Cat made some PCB amps recently, that they lost kind of their way maybe a bit for some of the really hardcore fans, and forgotten their roots to some extent. It was always the intent to go back to some Handwired production, and the Cub V makes sense to be that. Essentially, what they've tried to do is keep, this is what they say, as much of like what was great about the initial Cub and the heritage of the Cub. I think the Cub is somewhere between a Lightning and a Spitfire, if you're looking at like the Mark Sampson era amps from Matchless, but keep something pretty simple, but actually also add some really useful stuff. So we've got 2 master volumes, switchable, and also, this is my favourite part of the amp, the EF86 12AX7 switch. And if you know, you're going to know that that EF86 tube is kind of the key to those more awesome driven tones from like Vox amps and Matchless amps, and 12AX7 maybe for more clean stuff. It's got a tube reverb, which I have to say is a little bit on the short side for my own personal tastes. but it's kind of, think about it as sort of like a short sort of room sort of sound rather than like a long drippy reverb tail. And also a tube buffered effects loop, which is really useful because that means that you can essentially use this as a 2-channel amplifier, because it really does have a different, more chewy, more lead focused tone on the EF86 and a bit more clean on here. So I actually gig a Matchless Lightning clone from Rift. So this, I'm going to try and gig it. I've asked for permission, do a couple videos maybe if I can try and get to gig it. But an all built in America boutique amplifier. The price tag will let you know that that is the case. But I think a really great sounding amplifier, and one of these things where you start to think about maybe amps that I've tried in the past that have loads of knobs, are those doing what I want, or is it easier maybe to dial in sometimes an amp which is way simpler? I've not tried pedals into it yet. That's something else that I want to try in another video, but that's the Bad Cat Cub V. Awesome sounding amp. Also this step switch here, which is like a 4-step switch, really, really useful for maybe switching between guitars. As you dial it back, you get slightly less bass. As you dial it forward, you get more bass. So like Strat, I'm going this way. Les Paul, I'm going this way potentially. But yeah, less tweaking than you might expect you might want to do with this sort of amp. Sounds great with the EVM 12 speaker cab that I've got underneath here. And then the stock speaker itself is custom made for Bad Cat by Celestion. So yeah, no expense spared on this Bad Cat. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, should you have any. Let's get into some tones.
So what's cool here is that essentially we've now got capability to switch the EF86 and 12AX7 from a foot switch, and also 2 different master settings. So you can either use this as your kind of Vox flavored sort of pedal platform, or you could use it, you know, getting some of these more chewy kind of tones. So reverb all the way up. Quite a short sort of roomy sort of sound. So EF86. Definitely a gain boost. So yeah, that could be used as sort of like a 2-channel sort of approach, right? As we back the gain off on the EF86. Up this master, maybe reduce the cut a bit. You could set this up so that Master 2 gave you those 2 sort of different sounds. And that also means that you could, in terms of clean tones, what can we do here? So I'm liking this depth with the Strat up. I'm guessing it's like stepped so that as you go up, you get more bass. I think if it's lightning bass, this bass adds mids as you turn it up as well, so not just bass. So you could maybe dial the bass higher and then dial depth back for a bit more. So now we kind of got a humbucker deal. It does have an effects send and return too, so you've got an effects loop, so it does really suit that kind of channel switching approach too, if that's what you're going for. Humbucker style guitar, I'm going to have to dial back. Cleaning up really nicely on the volume control there. Chewiness to the game. Give it some in the room sort of tones to see. like on a Voxstar amp, you have this cut. Which you can use to sort of shape the kind of top end response. We can give it more preamp gain if we want. This is on the 12AX7 mode. There's also an EF86 mode. Ooh, that's nice. Not tons of reverb. It's like a room sort of reverb. Like a really short. And then up here an EF86.